Hi guys, thanks for tuning into this episode. We have a cracker guest on this episode. We have Eddy Rockefeller, a professional comedian and musician who is multi-talented and here to promote her new solo comedy show, which is about to launch, and a collaboration project at the Newcastle Fringe Festival. Eddy's solo show is titled The Art of Falling in Love, and the collab project Eddy is working on is pop poetry. Eddy also runs a bunch of open mics around the Newcastle area and is close to launching her women's monthly showcase comedy show, The Whole She Bang. Eddy also has a background in music and has also performed in countless venues, events, and festivals, which include the Tamworth Country Music Festival, the Main Stage Early Beach Music Festival, and Mitchell Creek Rock and Blues Festival. Eddy, thank you for coming onto the show. I do appreciate it. How's it all going over there?
Yeah, for sure. Hey, it's going great. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Start to it.
Yeah. Killing it.
Killing it. How was the holidays up there?
Really chill for me actually. I've just been enjoying having the time off. And it's hard to I always, every time it gets to holidays, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get so much done. But I'm also gonna let myself chill, and then I always struggle to get back into work mode again. So we'll see if I get anything done these holidays.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And has COVID been affecting you much up there as well?
Oh, we're pretty lucky. We're in Newcastle's been pretty clear most of the time. I think our closest case is like Raymond Terrace, so it's like, that's half an hour away. But we currently don't have any cases in Newcastle, so nothing's changed for us in the fact that I know that Sydney's gone back down to lower restrictions and they're locking down, and where it's still at 4 square meters, which is great, and our events are still going ahead. There's a few things that are going to postpone because people are worried about it, obviously. Like there's always that worry, but so far we're not getting kicked out of pubs yet, which is mainly where I work. So
exactly.
I'm really happy for that.
100%.
Yeah. I will cry if I get kicked out of a pub.
No, that's too funny. All right, let's get straight into it. For the listeners, who is Eddy Rockefeller?
Oh, okay. Eddy Rockefeller is a legend. No, I'm joking. So I'm a musician, I'm a comedian, I'm a performer, I'm a professional attention seeker. Let's just be straight up. Let's be real honest. That's what I love to do. Anything that'll get me attention, I do it. Pretty much. I love performing. I'm big on, I love making people laugh. I love making people feel things as well. So like when it comes to my music side, I've got more soul and expression sort of stuff. When it comes to my comedy side, I've got like silly and, just, wordplay and just having fun with it on stage. So it's like, I don't know. Eddy Rockefeller is a lot of things, I guess. Oh my God, we get really existential here.
Hey, you're a musician and comedian, so you're definitely very multi-talented, that's for sure.
Yeah, I do a lot.
I know you do. How's your family? Tell me about your family.
My family. Well, people are always like really surprised to find out what kind of family I come from, because they meet me and they expect me to, I don't know what family they expect me to have, but whenever I pull out and mention that I'm from an incredibly strict Christian family, they're always like, what, you? Because I'm always the one, making sexual innuendo jokes or or out encouraging people to drink and have a good time sort of idea. Not, responsibly, obviously, but like,
you love
I don't know. I'm just
muck around. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm definitely one of those people. I love a good muck around, and unfortunately, lots of the life choices that I make, which I'm very happy, might not necessarily fit into what my parents like. So that's fine. They still love me. We still have a good relationship. It's fine. But I come from. I will say though, like that they're the ones that started my love for performing, because my mum was a violin teacher and she started teaching me when I was like 4 years old. So I've been on stages since I was 4, and that's because of her. And we always had that community around us of other people who are musicians who are on stage and always doing this sort of stuff. And so when I got out in the real world, it was just me trying to explore that further, just down different routes that that she hadn't shown me yet. So for example, I got into like blues music, and I got into going to open mics and jams, and through that I got into meeting a lot of people out at venues, and eventually I learned there was a comedy scene in Newcastle, so I got into that. Like, I think it's just like it's a dominoes effect, you know what I mean, of just you get into one thing and suddenly you're just trying everything and just experiencing life. And so I love that. Mum definitely started me on the road. Though don't tell her that, she'd probably be mad.
No, that's a very interesting story. It's quite amazing.
Thank you.
You also won a competition and participated in 2017. You were lucky enough to win. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I participated because I used to, when I was first getting into the music scene, I used to go compete in a lot of singing competitions because it was a good way for me to sort of teach myself how to become better and get feedback on what I need to work on, sort of ideas. So I participated in a bunch of comps. Some I won, some I didn't. But this particular one called I Sing, I won in Australia. So they sent me overseas to compete in the world singing competition, which was like incredible. There were like, I think, 64 other countries competing or something. And there was, we all went to Myanmar, which for people who don't know what that is, if you've heard of Burma, they're rebranding. So that's where we went. And it was my first time going overseas. I was so excited, and just all the people there were amazing. It was just crazy how, I mean, we're all in a competition, yeah, but they were some of the most supportive people I've ever met, even though you're competing against them. They were so determined to enjoy meeting people from other countries, and just it was one of the funnest trips of my life. I will never forget it. And I ended up placing 5th, which was amazing because there were so many incredible singers there. So I felt really lucky, felt really pleased with the whole experience. It was great. Yeah.
Yeah, well, coming 5th, depending against those numbers, that's quite amazing too. And well done, and congratulations.
Yeah.
That's quite an achievement. So,
Thank you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. You have also performed in the music scene with local and established acts like the Screaming Jets, Warren and Queen of Hong Tok, if I pronounce it right. Great.
Honky Tonk. The Queen of Honky Tonk.
Yeah. Bob Spencer and many more. How was the experience for that? How was that experience for you?
Oh, okay. So like when you're in the industry, you run into a lot of different people, but then just every now and then something will happen. Like I got invited to play violin in a band with Juanita, and we went and played Airlie Beach Music Festival, which is incredible. We played to like 5,000 people on main stage, and that was one of the most fun working holidays of my life, because if you're a performer, you get a VIP ticket. They gave you free alcohol. It was excellent.
How good is that?
I know. So much fun. Oh my God. And I think I went with her down to Brisbane to play in this. We're going down there to shoot a music video, actually, which was a lot of fun. But while we were there, we met a bunch of people, and we met this guy, Dan Neeby, who runs Rockin' for the Homeless in Brisbane. And he's also, the head man of this awesome band called Team Utopia. And so they kind of invited us back to play for Rockin' for the Homeless, which we did, and we killed it and we loved it. And then ever since, I just got really close with the people up there. So I go up and I sing with Team Utopia sometimes, and Bob Spencer was the lead guitarist at the time. So I got to sing and rap on stage with him, and it was crazy. And then I've been going back every year and emceeing with them, and we've been raising money for the homeless, which is amazing because of a breakfast club in Redcliffe. That's the charity. And this year, obviously, last year, I should say, it obviously had to get cancelled because of the whole COVID, unfortunately. But what they did instead was they put out an album, Rockin' for the Homeless album, with all proceeds, again, still going to charity. So that's another thing. If anybody's listening, go check that out, because there's some super sick bands on there, like the Super Jesus and Team Utopia, and like a bunch of just really cool rock acts. And yeah, obviously all money goes towards, the homeless. So look up Rockin' for the Homeless, like R for homeless. I don't know how I'm saying that right, but check it out. It's on Facebook and everything like that. Yeah, it's so much fun.
Sounds amazing. Thanks. I have seen some of your videos online for singing, playing guitar. They look great. Do you ever get stage fright doing it?
No, not for music. No, never. I'm sure I used to, but when you've just done it for as long as I have, it's just part of life, I guess. And I still love it. But you learn to love the music itself rather than, I don't know, getting on stage as much. I still love, obviously, I love performing, but I don't know, when you lose that nervous flutter, you got to find something else to also love about it. But I still get the nervous flutter when I do comedy, which is probably one of the reasons why I'm pushing a lot for that more recently. I've turned more to comedy of late, and I still get that nervous flutter when I get up for comedy, definitely. But the second I step on stage, I'm fine again, because I'm just lost in the performing and doing all of that, which is, yeah. But every now and then, just before I get on stage, I'm like, why do I do this again? Like, why am I putting myself through this pain? And then I get on stage and I remember why, and I'm like, yeah, I'll probably never stop doing this.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think you're a natural at it personally. How did you get
thank
into?
you.
No worries. How did you get into comedy? Like, so how did you get the transformation from music into comedy?
Well, so when I moved to Newcastle for the music scene, actually, because I came from Tamworth, which is country music capital, and I'm not a country music artist yet. So I moved to Newcastle just so I had more opportunities to gig and then do original music, all that sort of stuff. And I used to go out to all the open mics so I could meet other musicians in the scene. And I met these people who ran open mics at the Mayfield Hotel, and they asked me to help host them. Then they asked me to help with social media and run them. And they also ran this, so they ran weekly music open mics, so I'd run those. And they also started running these comedy/tall tales nights. And so, of course, I'd go along to support them because they were part of the, the scene that I was helping run there. And I was like, oh, I'll get up and tell a story, and I got up and I did my whole thing as I normally do, because when I talk to people, I'm always usually trying to crack jokes and things anyway. Like, that's just my personality. So I got up and did that. And then somebody afterwards mentioned that there's an actual comedy scene in Newcastle, which I didn't know about. So I was so excited, and I thought I went down and I was like, I'll get up and I'll just, talk shit like I did at this night. It was easy. And then I got there, and everybody got up, did proper sets, like proper written jokes. It was very obvious that they were written jokes. They were well done. And then I instantly backed out. I went home. I wrote a set that night, and I practiced it for 2 weeks straight and got up the next fortnight. And then I've just been doing comedy ever since.
Yeah, sure. Is that the main direction now you're clearly heading in your career?
It's one of my biggest passions. Like, I'm always going to love music, and I'm always pushing that one as well. But right now, most of my energy is going towards comedy. And the reason is because it's, I don't know, you need less to push yourself in comedy. I mean, all I need to do to get a new show up is sit down and write. I just need me and a pad and pen. You know what I mean? Whereas with music, because I've been building my own loop station during COVID lockdown, I figured I couldn't do comedy, so I may as well, do some music stuff. And I mean, it was fun. It was amazing. There's a lot of work that goes into it, but it's also a lot of money towards equipment and things like that. And it's just sort of to get that sound and develop that sound you want, it takes a lot of money and a lot of effort. Whereas with comedy, I can just put the effort in. It doesn't take the money, so it feels like, yeah. So I don't know, it just feels like a more achievable route, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm always going to love music, but I'm never going to have the money I want to get like the perfect equipment, not without years of saving up. And it's a whole thing. So I'll still keep on doing it because I love it, but it's hard to make it your focus when you don't have the money to dedicate towards it that you want, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Well, hopefully you blow up, get bigger, and you can afford everything.
Yeah, hopefully. Exactly. Oh, well, be amazing.
Is there any funny stories, obviously being comedy, which is a funny industry, is there any stories you can share that you've been out and you've done, etc.?
Oh, there's loads. There's loads. I've seen so many weird things on stage before. But I think one of my favorite gigs was me and a bunch of Newcastle comedians. This is a couple of years ago. Me and a bunch of Newcastle comedians decided to like band together and get like hire out a van and road trip all the way down to the Adelaide Fringe and put on a showcase there. So sort of like a working holiday. Check out the Fringe and also get to perform. And I think on the way there and on the way back, we sort of planned these gigs at like these regional towns that would never have comedy ever, just to like pay the way for petrol and you know, sort of reduce costs on the way there. And we stopped off at this one place where it was very country, very regional town, where like we're playing at like, I think it was like the bowling club or something. And we looked around and none of the people there, it was pretty packed, but none of the people in the place knew that there was comedy happening. They were there to drink or for the karaoke that was after the comedy. So we were a bit worried and we were a bit stressed, and we had this one comedian who was with us who's like the bogan comedian, if it makes sense. Like he's, you know, he wears dogs, he drinks beer, and he jokes, you know, as sort of like, you know, we thought we would go better with a regional crowd. So we thought we'll put him first so that, you know, he does well. And from his momentum, we can sort of come in and still have a good set. But he did his set and he bombed. And we're like, oh no, we are so screwed. We're so worried. And true to word, everybody after him bombed. It was just bomb after bomb. At one point, this is how bad the crowd was. At one point, a comedian made a joke about putting a gun to his head, and then somebody from the crowd just called out, "Do it." And we're like, oh, they hate us. It's awful. They hate us. So we get to the end, and Dave, one of our other comedians, he was like, I'm going to do topical humour. They'll like that. But he got up and he didn't really know much about the town. He just sort of figured out what he knew about the town from driving into the town. So he gets up there and he's like, oh, oranges. You guys grow oranges. We're like, what the fuck is happening? Oh, it was crazy. But somehow, I can't even remember how it started, but somehow he decided to just scull his beer on stage, and the crowd went nuts. And then all of a sudden, the next comedian, they wanted him to scull a beer, so he sculled a beer. The next comedian, and it just ended up, everybody who was left over to perform just ended up sculling a beer on stage. And then they just loved us. It turned so suddenly. After the show, everyone was buying us drinks. Everyone wanted to talk to us. Everyone wanted to know us. It went from them telling us to go kill ourselves, essentially, to like this dude coming up to us and saying, oh, hey, I know there's 12 of you, but where are you staying tonight? We'd be like, oh, we've got a campground. And they're like, nah, you're coming to my place. It was like, you have a wife and 3 kids at your place, and they have no idea we're coming. Nah, you're coming to my place. I'm like, it was insane. It was so crazy. It was definitely one of my favorite gigs to date. Yeah. What a turnaround.
I think so. That's cool. That's quite amazing.
It's also crazy that all it took to get their love and approval was sculling a beer.
I know, right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Tell me about your club project, Pop Poetry, and also individual one, The Art of Falling in Love, which is your new solo project.
Yeah, well, I'm finally doing my solo comedy show. So this is like a collection of a lot of the sets I've done over the years, like obviously kicking out the bad stuff, keeping the good stuff. This collection of a few new stuff as well. And it's all based on the art of falling in love. So dating and single life and being in a relationship. It's sort of following the whole trajectory of it, and having a look at that. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really keen to debut it. But I'm also doing this collaboration project called Pop Poetry. and it's basically dramatic readings of pop lyrics. So I just found, like, I was drinking with some friends at a pub, and I just find that we got into a situation where we were dramatically reading out like the lyrics to WAP. It was like, oh, please park that Big Mac truck right in this little garage. And it was just, it was cracking up everybody so much. And I know we were drunk, but I just thought the contrast of like taking something that's usually sung or rapped or just said, so, you know, in a different way, and then switching it to this mode of like dramatic reading, it just made it so funny. And I just thought, wouldn't that be a cool idea for like a different kind of comedy show? And so, yeah, we're going to give it a crack at the Newcastle Fringe. And if it does well, the potential is, you know, it'll be great, because like potentially every year we could do a different show with the same concept, which is great. So I've got a couple ideas under the belt of different ways we're going to do it, different songs we're going to do. There's going to be a little bit of crowd participation. There's going to be a little bit of interpretive dance going on. It's going to be a lot of fun. So definitely, if you guys want to check out any of those shows, go to Eddy Rockefeller Comedy on Facebook, or you can find all the events also on openmiccomedy.com. So those events are all listed, or you can just go to the Newcastle Fringe page as well, because all their events are up. But that will be happening in March. So around the 18th, 19th, 20th and 21st sort of weekend. So check out those dates, get amongst it.
Yeah, sure. That sounds great. Tell me too, I know we've chatted before about, and I'm really interested in news about how you're sort of stepping up for the women in comedy. Talk about that and that project, how you're really trying to get women involved in comedy.
Yeah, well, I remember when I first started comedy here, I was the only regular female comedian. Like there were a few others that would drop in every now and then, but you know, they'd have kids, or they'd have or they'd be from they'd be from Sydney or from another area. I was the only one showing up every week, surrounded by men, which can be quite daunting sometimes when it seems like it's a men's club. And I'm really happy to say that I'm no longer the only female comedian. We have so many more, which is great, and I love it. But I can also say that I know there's other females that who still feel like it's a man's club, like a boys' club, and that they don't do comedy just for that reason. And I know this because they've spoken to me, they've spoken to my MCs before and said how they were interested in it, but they, you know, it seemed too much of a boys' club. They'd feel too insecure. And I sort of just want to create an environment where they can. Like it shouldn't be, I mean, we're a growing scene. There should be the opportunity to nurture there. There should be opportunity for new people who want to come in to give it a go, to be okay with like just being a beginner and not feel like they're being judged on that, because everyone starts somewhere. I know loads of people who, you know, have improved so much over the years for doing comedy and found a love in it. And I don't want to deny that to anybody, especially if it's just because they're female. So I'm starting an all women's showcase in Newcastle. Still talking to the venue to nail down dates and all that sort of thing, but it will be starting soon. It's called The Whole Shebang. And we're going to have double headliner from Sydney. So the idea is we get two experienced comedians down from Sydney. I'll be the resident MC, and then we're going to fill all the other spots with local female comedians. So that would be maybe local females who've already started comedy, or potentially new females who want to start it but want to start it in a more supportive environment, which I tend to find women's showcases I like. I've performed at a lot of women's showcases over the years, and I've performed at a lot of just normal comedy shows that are dominated by male lineups. And well, I love performing at both. I will say that the women's showcases were always really easy to talk and try new bits. I always found it easier to try new bits at those showcases because they were really supportive, which I feel is necessary for newbie comedians. That's like something you want. So yeah, I'm really keen to get that project started.
Yeah, that's amazing. And yeah, like massive respect for you doing that, because I think it's going to open a lot of doors for women, especially that are a bit afraid to, maybe insecure or whatever, and not give it a crack where they've got potential to do it. So yeah, I definitely respect you for that.
Yeah. There's a lot of funny females out there. So many. And I don't want them to not too. I've had conversations with them and they're destroying me at the pub. Like they're just making me laugh so hard. And then I say, you should try comedy. And then they go, oh, I couldn't.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Well, currently I'm sort of just looking ahead at the short term. I'm sort of thinking about my next goal, like this hosting and debuting my first comedy show was a big one for me, getting that done. And that's happening in March. So right now all my energy is dedicated towards that. But then after that, I'll push for my next goal. So I'll start pushing and trying to, I'm thinking about maybe touring around Australia a little bit, or just taking my show other places so I get a chance to perform for different types of audiences and things like that. So potentially in 10 years, I'd love to be still doing comedy, still playing music, and just really doing what I love. I don't really have a end goal of like, I want to be rich or famous or anything like that. I just sort of want to always be doing what I love, if that makes sense, and always working towards the next thing and getting better at my craft. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's a pleasure. And thank you for coming on. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Nick.
My pleasure. If you guys want to keep up with Eddy, you can follow her comedic journey and music journey by following her on Facebook at Eddy Rockefeller Comedy and Instagram at Eddy Rockefeller Comedy as well. Eddy, again, thank you for your time. I do appreciate it.
Thanks heaps. I'll see you next time.
See ya. Have a good day. Bye.